We have a very, very special guest, a little opponent preview for a game that's taking place a little bit later tonight, 6:30 on TBS. It's the Michigan State Spartans in the Big Apple taking on the Kansas State Wildcats. And joining us from K-State, the play-by-play voice, who's now in 21 years as the voice of the Wildcats, a broadcasting Hall of Famer. His name is Wyatt Thompson. Wyatt, my friend, good morning to you, partner. How are you? How's life? How are things on the day of the Sweet 16?
Well, good morning to you guys. It's really, really good. We've had a blast here. It's been a magical season for Kansas State. I think we know what we're facing tonight. I can't wait. I'm not counting the hours now. I'm counting the minutes. We're close enough now. I'm counting minutes. How about that?
You know what, Mr. Thompson, I'm telling you, I saw Broadcasting Hall of Fame. I said, I know this guy's got the voice that's just velvet mixed with peanut butter, ultra smooth. Oh, I was right. There he is. Hey, by the way, congratulations. Kansas Sportscaster of the Year 6 times. I mean, we are in some very good company right now. I'm very interested as Kansas State looking at this tournament, coming in as a 3 seed. You get Montana State, you take care of business there. It's a 12-point victory. And then you get Kentucky. What was the feeling like from your fan base going into that game against UK?
You know, it's interesting you ask it that way because if you look at the reality and numbers from the past, K-State had only beaten Kentucky one time in its history. And their path goes back to the 40s, including a matchup in 51 where they met in the national championship game. They're a really fine team, but I think K-State was the better team that day and proved it down the stretch. It was a battle, and I think it'll be kind of somewhat similar tonight. These kids have been amazing. When you go back to June, K-State had 5 players on the roster. They were picked 10th by a mile in the league race in what most people thought was the best league in the country this year. You can argue whether it was or it wasn't, but that's what most people talked about. And now here they are as a 3 seed and in the Sweet 16 and a chance to go to the Elite 8. That's frankly about as fairy tale as it gets, right? I mean, that's nuts. That's not supposed to happen like that. But you know what? I think when you factor in Jerome Tang, you factor in these guys, how they've meshed together, and the transfer portal, which has helped a bunch, and it's helped a lot of others. Here we are.
You know, the transfer portal giveth and the transfer portal taketh away. I believe that's written in a good book somewhere. I don't know what book it's written in, but we've seen a lot of movement. And it's interesting that you say that about the Big 12 because, us here in Big 10 country with both Michigan and Michigan State, me being a Michigan employee, Ryan in the studio being a huge Spartan. I mean, the guy, you cut his arm and he bleeds green, right? It's crazy.
Sure.
You'd think that Tom Izzo was his actual father. It's ridiculous, right? But then I say the same thing about Jim Harbaugh and Juwan Howard, so whatever. But we hype up the Big Ten. We talk about it. We see it night in and night out. We see these teams grinding it out, winning 60-55, and it's like, oh, it's because we got all these 7-footers everywhere. Look at how tough our league is. And then we got one team to the Sweet 16 wide. It's been utter disappointment for our conference as a whole, whereas at least the Big 12, you got a couple of representatives here.
Yeah, and I think most people thought that one of those would be Kansas, not Kansas State necessarily. You could also argue that maybe Baylor would have been ahead of K-State just based on, the body of work during the season. But as we all know, it's about matchups and performing when you are in your particular area. And again, I go back to Kentucky. Coach Tang told them before the game, fellas, we are better than they are. We're not playing the Kentucky team that has won all of those hundreds of games over the years. We're playing this group for this amount of time. And let's look at it that way and prepare that way. And again, it was a grinder. K-State had some fortune, like we all have at times. But with the game on the line, and at one point they're 0 for 13 from 3, they hit 3 out of 4 and went up 67-62, and they were able to hold them off. Who knows what it'll be like tonight with this group? Because one thing I appreciate about Michigan State, and this will come from an angle that you guys will respect, I think, Bruce Weber was the basketball coach at Kansas State for 10 years, and he and Tom Izzo are very good friends. I think he has as much respect for Izzo as anybody in the land, and he will tell you he's a good man, and he's a fabulous basketball coach. And I can promise you one thing you can usually count on. There are a lot of things in life you can't count on, but usually you can count on Michigan State playing its best basketball this time of year. Is that a fair statement?
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, the people have renamed the month of March after Tom Izzo around here. So
That says a lot.
Yeah, you make the tourney 25 times in a row, and it's like, okay, I got it. Even I have to tip my cap to those folks in the green and white. Why? Tell me a little bit about Keontae Johnson, because when I look at it and I look at his stat line, I'm seeing 17 and a half points, 7 rebounds, leading the team in both of those categories. But what really stands out to me, 51% from the floor, 73% in change from the free throw line, and almost 41% from three. This guy can shoot it.
Well, he can shoot it. And one thing I will say, K-State has had a monster year. That's pretty obvious. And they've played 34 games. About one thing that you can count on for sure with him is he's going to hit double figures. He's done it 33 times in 34 games. There have been times when he's done it late. There have been times when he's had, 28-point games or whatever. I just love his makeup. He just plays. There's not a lot of emotion in his face, despite the fact that he loves life now because of what he's been through, and he loves games. But one thing that Coach Tang pointed out to the media yesterday was that what he appreciates about Keontae, and I think I do too, and that is how he's embraced the team and his teammates and their style. I can't find any downside to the guy. I like his personality. I like him and how humble he is, and he's strong. You're going to see in the game tonight he has really good hands for the most part, but strength is his deal and his ability to shoot the ball. He's a good player.
Can you tell us a little bit about his story, because he was a 4-year guy at Florida, and he started a whole bunch of games early on in his career. He made 51 starts out of a possible 67 games, and then things just kind of tapered off. What happened there?
Well, actually, it was a crazy story, and I think because of that, he's been one of the real interesting stories in all of college basketball for this year, because he collapsed on the floor, lost heartbeat, and was in really, really bad shape, and they brought him back, and he missed 2 full years. Probably could have just taken some money and gone to play professional basketball somewhere, but wanted to kind of get into it again, looked at his options. K-State was one of those options, and there were a couple of 2 or 3 or 4 others. But I think he really liked and hit it off with Coach Tang, but maybe even as much so with our senior point guard, Marquise Noel. I mean, he thought, you know what, this is worth the risk, and I don't think he has any regrets. I think they've gotten along great. They've become friends. But his story, because of the fact that he collapsed on the floor, and I've seen the video, it's scary, guys. I mean, he almost face planted, and came back, and he has such an appreciation for everything now. I'm not saying he didn't before, but you can imagine what life is like for him after something like that. It's crazy. It's hard to put into context, really.
And that's one of those transfer portal giveth, right? A great opportunity, and look at him making the most of it. So congratulations to that young man for continuing on and wanting to pursue things and staying in college and finding a really good fit. You mentioned Noel, the point guard there. Who else outside of Keontae Johnson does Michigan State fans, who do they need to be concerned about from this K-State team?
I would probably say the next 2 guys would be Naquan Tomlin, who most of the time will be either the 4-man or the 5-man for us. He's from New York City. He's really a very interesting talent. Picked up the game of basketball pretty late. Was a community college player. 6'9" and a little less than 200 pounds, and needs to be stronger, but he's really gifted. Can score with both hands. He can handle it. He can pass it. Big energy guy for the most part. He has occasionally been in foul trouble, which has hurt K-State, but not against Kentucky. I thought he did a really nice job, played 30 minutes and 12 seconds in that game. I remember that off the top of my head, so it tells you how important it is to have him on the floor. And he can shoot it out to 3. And then Desi Sills is one of those transfer portal guys who he's a nearly 1,400-point career scorer. He's played a lot of basketball at both Arkansas and Arkansas State. And I think he and Keontae kind of give you an idea of what college basketball is like now from the perspective of the portal and what it's like. Think about this, guys. We are in March of 2023. Keontae committed to K-State on August 20th. Desi didn't get to the K-State campus until October. Welcome to today's college basketball, right?
In the fact that these guys arrive 3 days before the season starts, basically, and they're able to build a chemistry. I think culture and chemistry are one of those things, especially with the evolving transfer portal that we're seeing. It's one of those things where the program has got to be really strong, right? And whomever is there when the portal dust kind of clears, if your culture isn't strong, things can go awry in a hurry. But if your culture is strong, then you can basically open your doors to anybody. This is the way we operate. This is the way we do things. I think that's a testament to that coaching staff there at K-State.
Well, I think you said it all right there. That's really legitimately, at the end of the day, what this has become. I think those guys, meaning Coach Tang, Uric Malagi, our associate head coach, and the others, wanted the right fit culturally as much as they wanted good players and good athletes, right? I mean, and I know it's cliche, but in this particular case, I think they stuck to their guns there, and it's paid off. I think these guys, and there are a couple of other guys that I haven't mentioned, that Bebe Igiola is one of those guys. Tyke Green is one of those guys. Tyke, I think, is a real fine example because think about it this way. He's played in about 145 games in his career, and he's always been a frontline guy. He's accepted his role at Kansas State, going from about a 29-minute-a-game guy to just a little less than 11 minutes. That's some sacrifice for your team, isn't it? It is from my perspective, and he's handled it. And you wouldn't, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. To me, that's pretty complimentary of Tyke.
No, I like him already. I mean, we before me, right? I mean, team first kind of guy like that. Send him some love from us here in the great state of Michigan. So tonight, gut feeling, Wyatt. Kansas State, the 3 seed, taking on the 7 seed, Michigan State Spartans. It's a 6:30 tip-off on TBS in New York. What is your gut? What do you think that we are going to see in tonight's ball game?
Well, I think what the K-State people are talking about right now is some of the things that we've touched on, Tom Izzo, what Michigan State basketball is and stands for. But what really stands out to me, if I'm being honest, is the three-point shooting. That, I think, is a major concern for K-State. Another concern is the matchup with Joey Hauser. Another concern is how smart their guards are. I don't know if you guys think that is all accurate, but that's, I think, the way what K-State looks at it. And I saw Hauser as a freshman at Marquette when we were up there, and he was pretty impressive even that day. Tough matchup, though, at 6'9". He can do so many different things. And even Sissoko is like we saw Oscar Tshiebwe last weekend. They're different. This kid's a better athlete. I mean, he runs he's a rim runner, as our guys say. So they have some pieces. There's no question. And I think it all comes down for K-State. We almost joke about this. Taking care of the ball. 11 or 12 turnovers or less, they've been really hard to beat. You get up into that 17, 18, 19, or even more, they can be had. They've also got to, you can make basketball as complex or as simple as you want, but you also have to make some shots, and they'll have to do that tonight too.
No doubt, it is a make or miss league, right? If you make some shots, everything gets a little, defense gets a little easier when your offense is flowing a little bit. His name is Wyatt Thompson. He is the voice of the Wildcats, Kansas Association of Broadcasters Hall of Famer, and 6-time Kansas Sportscaster of the Year. Mr. Thompson, my friend, thank you so much for your time this morning on a game day. We greatly appreciate it and enjoy tonight's contest at 6:30, my friend.
Well, you can count on that. I'll definitely enjoy it, win, lose, or draw, man. I'm looking forward. You only get so many opportunities like this, and it was a joy to talk to you guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thank you so much. There he goes, Wyatt Thompson, and that is a man, that's fantastic. What a story there about Keontae Johnson too. I was trying to think if the name rang a bell at all, and I was going into the stat line just to see, and it's like, okay, well, he went from 20 games started to 31 to only starting 4 games to starting 1 game. Like, what took place there? And I didn't remember the backstory of him collapsing on the court, but it should be very, very interesting how Michigan State deals with him as a very good shooter. And at 6'6", 230, who's going to get that matchup there. Ryan, how do you feel now? Did that conversation make you feel good or make you feel a little nervous? You're probably always nervous.
Yeah, I was a nervous wreck this morning.
Poor guy.
Putting stuff up. And it's Keontae, just because his size, his scoring ability. It's like, okay, Joey Hauser gotten a lot better as a defender, but he's not all Big Ten defender.
Right.
Malik Hall, it's like, again, solid defender, decent, so it's like, that's scary, but the first 2 rounds, what Michigan State was able to do was shut down their best guard. And Marquise Noel has been on fire the first 2 rounds. 22 points and 11 assists in the first 2 games. It's nothing to scoff at. And taking over the end of that Kentucky game, it's like, okay, that's gonna have to be a key. And you come from the Big Ten where you face size, and great, Keontae's only 6'6". It's not like he's 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot. So you should be able to, have some sort of success there. It comes down to what kind of offense is going to show up today. Are you going to have the 2 of 15 3-point shooting, or are you going to be a top 5 3-point shooting team like you've been all season? And this team's makeup has a great chance in a tournament like this, and with the draw they have gotten. So I'm not gonna look away from that, because MSU's been lucky to face guard oriented teams with not the best rebounding teams, and so that's played a lot into their favor, and that's gonna do so again tonight. So,
and if K-State shoots it well, right, you have to feel at least somewhat confident based upon what we saw in that Marquette game that you can survive that. Like, you could still, even if, Marquette, hell, they shot almost 41% from the 3-point line. You got to feel good about the fact that, hey, if they do get hot, we still have enough in the tank that we can win this basketball game.
Exactly. As long as they're not, humming on everything, like scoring down low, scoring outside, getting to the free throw line. Like, MSU was like, all right, they want to shoot threes, we'll shut down everything else. There's not much we can do when a left-handed shooter just keeps coming off a screen and he goes left, shoots it immediately after the screen, and he's making it. Like, the kid's hot, he's going to be hot. Let's just focus on other players we can shut down. And that's their MSU shut down, the USC's and Marquette's best guards going into the game. And they've just adjusted, like, all right, because going into the tournament, Michigan State was like a bottom 50 team of getting to the free throw line. I think they've had 50 free throw attempts in this tournament. Like, they've been getting to the line in the tournament, and they're a 78% free throw shooting team, or roughly somewhere in the mid to high 70s. So they're a great free throw shooting team, so they can keep getting to the free throw line. That's wonderful.
Got to get there, though. Hey,
and they have been. In the tournament, they actually have been.
Get to the bucket, get fouled. Michigan State, Kansas State tonight, TBS at 6:30.